Welcome to the StockMatter.com studios. I'm your StockMatter Brian Johnson. And the markets had a little run down to begin the day, and the bulls pulled it right back up again. So we're looking at our 60-minute chart. Look how we have now broke that overhead blue line. That was the line we were going to watch all week long. Looked like when we got this, we got quite a distance from it here at the beginning of the week. Wasn't very clear if we'd make it back up there, but we had one huge push come into the market, and that ended up breaking by the end of the day. So now, back to my neutral to bullish look in the markets. Okay, we'll see. End of the week, we'll see where this ends up going coming into Monday, but I got to tell you, then I got to start next week, probably in a more neutral to bullish attitude. We'll talk about that over the weekend because of the break of this blue line. So we came up, we held, we dropped. I said this was a high base formation. The high base molded itself into a pullback and a move up from there. Once we broke above all of these moving averages and the blue line, it was kind of off to the races, especially into that last hour of the day, which is common to see a little bit of movement on a Friday afternoon. But it's kind of slow most of the day. So after that initial little push down, we did have not a bad trending day for the most part. It did manage to work its way up. It wasn't necessarily convincing from the market internals, but you know what? Doesn't matter. Point is, price went up, and it went up all day long. So, not a bad way to pull a couple of dollars out of the market for the end of the week. We'll see where this takes us into next week. For the week itself, we'll look at the daily here on the Dow. You can see a perfect test of this 50-day moving average coming up to give us what? Yeah, pretty much a test of the 20-day moving average. So now we're stuck between these two moving averages. Really going to want to wait to see if we get above that 20. I am still going to be neutral to bullish, even though we're not quite above it yet. I'm not going to panic about it. Would not be surprised to see us wake up Monday morning to a little bit of a gap to the upside, up and over that 20-day moving average, and to see if it'll move from there. We'll watch that. We'll talk more about it this weekend. However, for the week, let's just focus on the fact that we got down last week into the 20-day. I said that was key. That was key. This whole way up was to break that 20, and once we finally got a definite good break below it, you might have taken a short there or a short the following day, and you had to wait around a couple of days, but finally we got the plunge that we wanted. Made some very good money on that for the week, coming right back into the 50-day, which was my area of support, holding beautifully there, giving you almost a perfect trade there from below the 20 right down into the 50. Could have pulled just about every penny out of that trade possible. Not usual to do that. So this was a very, very nice opportunity to make some money to the short side. A lot of times it's into this area or close to this area. It doesn't actually touch that area, but we did actually get the touch of this. So from the break below the 20 right to the top of the 50, perfect trade. Could have pulled about every penny out of that trade for the week. Then we saw a big bounce. Wasn't necessarily expecting a huge bounce, but I did say options expiration gives us a lot of volatility. Did not disappoint. Big move down one day, big move up the next. I mentioned in my video, you wake up one day thinking, yeah, okay, market's doing pretty good. Wake up the next morning, oh, what just happened? Typical options expiration week. This, I think, was very indicative of what we typically see during one of these weeks. Things should slow down next week, and if anything, I'm kind of expecting a more bullish type of a tone to next week, potentially with Thanksgiving coming. Once again, we'll be watching that over the weekend. For the week, though, a nice little U shape here. Some of you might start to look at that as maybe a cup and handle type of thing. I'm not looking at that as any kind of such formation. I'm just looking at it as a very big move down followed by a very big move up again by the bulls. Overall, you can see here on the 60-minute of the NASDAQ, we never made it back to this blue line, but we're getting really close now. The Dow has already kind of pushed up and over this area. Let's watch to see if the NASDAQ follows, getting up and over 2150 coming into next week. For the week, you can see we started at the 20, bounced, came right back up to the 20 by the end of the week. So overall, what's that going to make our weeklies? That's right. Kind of a little hammer candle here. That's right. Now, I'm not convinced that this is a reversal candle. I don't know. It has to prove it to me, guys. It really does. I'm not going to look at this hammer candle and go, oh, get all in. Certainly not going to do that. It's not It's just not the right place or the right time for me to be looking at a hammer candle as being necessarily bullish. So it will absolutely have to prove it to me coming into next week. But you can see that the Nasdaq still holding tight to this upper area here and holding below the 20-day moving average as we saw on the Dow. SPX 60-minute kind of doing the same thing. Now, if you want to make a pattern, I could maybe give you an inverse head and shoulders here. Slant that line a little bit. Yeah, I could maybe give you that one. So we'll see if we would have had the break where, go figure, at the end of the day on a Friday. That's never convincing to me. It's going to have to do a little bit more work. But the pattern is certainly there. That I will give you. We got the little 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it makes a new high, comes up to make a 5. We'll look at these areas up into here for next week. But overall, for the week, what do we see? Same thing. Start at the 20, drop from the 20, come back to the 20. SPX showing more strength than the rest of them because it closed above the 20. Never tested the 50, but it did close back above the 20. So the direction is basically the same as what we've seen. However, the depth has not been the same as what we've seen on some of the other markets. That's a good one for you, isn't it? That'll get your mind thinking over the weekend. So here we are back above the 20-day moving average, holding pretty well. So okay volume today, but overall the market price was up. As I said, market internals not necessarily strong in the way of the bulls, but strong enough. Weekly, coming right back up to put in a what? Yeah, kind of a hammer. You can call it whatever you want to. Close enough to a hammer for me. I don't mince words when it comes to this, whatever. Point is, we're back above the 200-week moving average. Remember, we talked about that. It doesn't matter where we go, it matters where we close. And sure enough, this was great proof of that this week. Coming right down into the 1175 mark, and by the end of the week, got itself right back up to close above that area again. Can it hold it? Find out next week. That's why I said it. These things have got to prove it to me. Just because this candle did what it did doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go up to 1250 or anything like that. Chances look good. I'll give the bulls that much credit, but they're going to have to prove it to me coming into next week. So for the week, down, then right back up. Bulls obviously still lingering in this area. And the VIX, of course, collapsing during the course of the week. Down 3.79%, coming right back down into these lower levels. So where are we? Right back to where we started. Got a little push above this gray line. I might darken that one in as well and look at that one here since it did a good job of holding price for a couple of days. But you can see it did not hold it for very long. And once again, fear comes pouring out of the markets. From a weekly to right back into this little falling wedge thing. I'll have to wait and see if this thing actually finds some legs. But might not be for a while. This thing can hang around down here for a very long time. Once again, it's not where it goes, it's where it closes, and we never got that close above 2350 on the VIX. Apple was very, very slow. I watched Apple for a little while today, looking for a trade one way or the other. Really didn't see much. There was a big gap up, and from that point on, unless you caught it at the beginning of the day, there's a bunch of chop. I don't like to mess around with that. I still like the moves back above 310, but it's gonna have to get there. We'll see if it gets there early next week, coming into Thanksgiving weekend. Holding below the 20-day, this is really what's kind of got me on guard when it comes to Apple. We've held there not once, but 2 days in a row. So let's see if this turns into some sort of a high base formation that moves up, or will it try to push down one more time here before we see some sort of a bounce? Really watching these lower levels. But in Apple, for the most part, over the week, this is what we saw. That little kind of a hammer candle if you want to. Moreover, we're just sideways. Draw a line between 320 and 300 and you got Apple pegged. That's where it's been hanging out. Between 300 and 320, waiting for a break one way or the other on that. FAS was above this blue line. I'm going to switch this blue line maybe a teensy bit this weekend, but as you see, we didn't really get any good pushes up, no good pushes down to make trades on it today. I would not have been trading this today. Overall, it's still messing around with this area in here. I'm going to clean this up quite a bit. I got a lot going on. It's very busy, so I'll clean that up this weekend. But you can see the drop here, little push. Maybe we get another further push. I still like this thing above 2350, but not until it gets there. FAZ, same thing. This thing's basing sideways here. Looking for its next direction. We did not get a push below here. We did not get a push back above here, so no trades in FAZ for me today as well. Nothing to look at, folks. Please move along. So still looking for pushes back along here. or back above here. My levels from yesterday have not changed. I'll bring those up again this weekend. But keep in mind that with this major push down and the huge push back to the upside, you can see where the banks are suffering a lot of volatility in this area. I mean, they drop, they move up. What are you going to do? Where's the direction? So watch this very carefully. Over the weekend, we'll pay more attention to it. Notice that we did finish at or around the 20-day moving averages here on FAS. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and we've gone nowhere. It's back in this kind of a thing for the time being. Wait for the breaks on those. Once again, levels haven't changed. For the week, it's a crazy week again in the FAS and the FAZ, ending with the same type of looks as what we've seen in the indices. And let's just go back to the NDX on a weekly, and you can see overall we're not moving very far. We've come a long way since September. We're not going anywhere. Still a lot of bullishness in the market. I believe with the Fed pumping money into the system, still a lot of people just can't get all that bearish quite yet. So stops are going to have to be hit. Levels are going to have to be broke before the bears really start to get rolling. And if that'll happen into the holiday season, it's anybody's guess. Be back with you again on Sunday afternoon. Don't miss it. Sunday afternoon. See you then. Bye.